clock telling me I should get up. Yeah, I should get up.
Hi, and welcome to The Conscious Loop, where woo-woo and the real world collide. I'm your host, Katrina DeAngelis. Join me as we explore what it looks like to live consciously almost always. Each episode, we dive into transforming mindsets and shifting paradigms through topics such as developing self-awareness, living authentically, communication, strengthening relationships, and leading from the inside out. If you're ready to break out of your unconscious loops and discover what else is possible, you came to the right place. You ready? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to The Conscious Loop. I'm super excited to jump on here today and do a bit of a impromptu solo episode. Today I wanted to come on here and share a question that I've really been pondering about myself, and I thought, why not do a podcast on it? And this is the topic of focus and productivity. I've been pondering a lot on this topic, and I'm just seeing so many shifts in the world, and it just feels very present and relevant, and I want to share it with you all. And really, propose the same question to you, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. And it's all around this idea of productivity and inner focus versus outer focus. Because all around us, movies, culture, society, we really placed a lot of value on focus. And I think, when we think of focus and what that really is and looks like, a lot of what comes to mind is external focus. Like, how productive are we? Are we in flow state? How much are we achieving? How much are we doing? Are we checking off all the things on our to-do list? Can we do an 8-hour workday and a 4-hour workday? And, it's really also contributed to a lot of positive things, but it's also contributed to toxic hustle culture, comparison, and just all this fear around tech and AI. And it just brings up so much. And what I don't hear us talking a lot about is internal focus, equally as important. And what I want to propose to you is that I think it's actually going to be even more important as we see the way that the world is evolving with tech and AI. And I'll talk a little bit about that more so when we dive in. So inner focus is really actually what's going to support us in being creative, innovative, deeper knowing, getting in touch with ourselves, our inner guidance, mental health, right? Taking breaks, balance, nourishing. These things are so important. And when I say them, probably you're like, yeah, of course they're important. But we don't really think of that when we think of focus. And what is required to create the space for you to focus both externally and internally is going to look very different. And I feel that culture, society has really glorified and glamorized external productivity and external focus. So just to dive into the differences a little bit more, external productivity, the most commonly recognized form of productivity. So it's going to be emphasizing tangible results, achievements, outputs. It's a focus on efficiency, social recognition, and it's driven by external goals. So it's something that you can sort of observe and other people can observe. Maybe it's a career milestone, educational achievement, success, and so on. Inner productivity and internal productivity is going to be less visible, equally as important, and it's focused more on personal growth, mental, emotional well-being, and the development of inner resources. And these are going to look more like intangible outcomes, such as increases in self-awareness, enhanced creativity, personal fulfillment, feeling good, happy, joy, right? Like a lot of the time we see these people, and you've probably been there yourself, where you're succeeding and you're getting all these external milestones and accomplishments, but it doesn't actually mean that you're more fulfilled. You think you're going to be more fulfilled, but then maybe that happiness is not on the other side. And that's because it is a different type of focus and attention to bring internal productivity in. So internal productivity is going to be more focused on personal growth, fulfillment, feeling content, inner peace, a sense of purpose, being deeply connected to ourselves, and more driven by those internal goals that are based on your values, your aspirations, your desire to improve, not necessarily, the next milestone that you have at work or climbing the corporate ladder, but more coming from a state of inner calm and true knowing and really being grounded in your purpose. And so it's really important, of course, as you hear me speaking, to integrate both of these for a balanced life. The interesting part now is I think we're starting to realize that internal productivity is so valuable, but it's still not really being prioritized by many people. And up until today, or up until this period of time, I think they've been equally as important, but we've glorified one over the other, right? Now, with the way that the world is heading in terms of AI, technology, all these advancements that really help us be more externally productive, we need to then allow that extra space and time to go towards inner productivity and not just doing more and more external productivity, because true creativity, innovation, change, transformation, evolution of humanity is really going to come from that inner place, that inner focus, inner productivity. And that's not something that tech, AI, or anything can take away from us, right? That critical thinking, that ability to go inwards. And so I just like, as we go through this podcast episode, starting to think about, and I'm starting to reflect for myself too, right? Like when I started using AI and tech and realized how much time I could save, I just used that time to do more stuff. And then I was like, I don't feel any better. Like I feel like I'm accomplishing more, but I'm actually just more stressed because I have more going on in my mind. I'm like so overstimulated. And so I really realized that like it's so important for us to pause as a society and place importance on inner productivity. And so we'll dive into some ways that we can really begin to do that. But I think first and foremost is really just bringing awareness and attention to it. We don't often talk about these two different types of productivity and focus. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And this quote really encapsulates the value of internal exploration for personal growth. Similarly, there's another one by Albert Einstein who says, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Such a simple statement and yet so profound, because we have, especially nowadays, we have access to knowledge anywhere and everywhere. So now more important than anything, it's what do you do with that knowledge? What can you imagine possible? What future can you create? And being discerning, because there's so much access to all this information, being discerning with what you take on as truth, being discerning with the facts and information that you gather, being discerning even in what you take into your mind, because you don't need to consume everything, right? Imagination is more important than knowledge. And in order to do that, we must create the space for that to exist, because when we're externally productive, externally focused, we're overstimulating. We're, drinking coffee, herbs, tea, drugs, anything that really supports us to get into that flow state and become focused. Now, internal focus, going inwards, we almost want to do the opposite of that. We want to eliminate the distractions. We want to create the space. We want to remove technology, and we want to go internal and really listen to ourselves. And as I mentioned earlier, with the world and tech and AI and where all this is going, we've heard Elon Musk, different tech visionaries, predictions, all of this, and they discuss the importance of adaptability and innovative thinking in the future job market, right? Emphasizing skills that AI and automation cannot easily replicate. What can they not easily replicate? They can't replicate our creativity, imagination, ability to go inwards, to discern. They sure as hell can replicate our ability to produce very quickly, right? So there is a shift happening where we must put more energy and attention into inner productivity, inner focus. And so I hope that today inspires you to do that, and that I can give you some tips on how to be able to do that a little bit more as well. We've also heard people talking about the necessity of cultivating emotional intelligence, mental balance in the age of information, which is what I was mentioning about being discerning and being able to use your own inner knowing and intelligence about what you consume and how you make sense of the information you're consuming. because that's also unique to each individual, right? We all have our own pool of information and knowledge. How we use it is going to be very different, and that's going to be our creative component as each individual human here on this planet. So the ability to focus inwards and really focus on that internal productivity is going to be what helps you us critically think, be more creative, intuitive, come up with really great ideas, integrate everything that we're learning and really embody it, get it into our, subconscious. And these are going to be the things that are going to support us in evolving into the next version of ourselves and really in just feeling fulfilled and feeling good is putting more focus on this the inward piece. And this is not really something new. I think it's just feels very present for me now because I think now more than ever it's super important. But these are things that people have been saying for decades. Jon Kabat-Zinn's mindfulness-based stress reduction program illustrates the practical application of mindfulness and enhanced well-being and productivity. And we've seen how this has supported even business and entrepreneurship and culture and productivity. There has been more of this focus on mindfulness in the workplace because it pays off to focus inwardly as well, to be able to focus more externally and be more productive. And so simple, but yet profound. And we've glorified outer productivity. And it's going to be really important to start focusing on putting more time, energy, and intention into internal productivity. And also, the shifts in how the educational and professional paradigms are, how we teach our children, how we develop their skill sets for us and, children coming into this world. It's really focusing on that inner guidance, on creating space for that, eliminating distractions, because if we are dependent on tech, AI, your phone, some program or platform, like if we're dependent on all of this, then what's our skill set anymore? We have something to do everything for us. We have to be able to strengthen our inner guidance, our inner presence, and anchoring ourselves in that. Sir Ken Robinson, right, had an amazing TED Talk years ago, argued that the education system needs to prioritize creativity as much as literacy to prepare future generations for a rapidly changing world. That was true years ago, and it is triple, quadruple, like very true today as well. Tom Kelly's wrote a book, The Art of Innovation, emphasizing that creating a culture where creativity is nurtured, illustrating how internal focus on creativity and innovation can drive success in the business world. So this internal focus, internal productivity is what is actually going to drive results in both the business world, in your own inner world, in your family world. It's going to be very important. It already is very important. I just invite you to think about some of the things that I've just shared and reflect, do a little bit of a reflection on your day, on your week, on your month. Like, how much focus do you put on external productivity? And how much focus do you put on internal productivity? Do you place equal amounts of value on both, or have you prioritized one over the other? Is there opportunity to put a little bit more focus on the internal productivity? And that can support your external productivity. So I would love to hear what's coming up for you, and I would love for you to share with me as well, what stood out and what you start to notice now with this awareness. And I, of course, don't want to leave you without some practical tips and tools for how you can apply this as well. And so I'll end here with some practical tips to really give you some things that you can do daily to really start incorporating internal focus into your routine to enhance your creativity or well-being, whether at home, in the workplace, with your family. These are actionable steps that you can do to support cultivating a deeper connection with yourself. And some might resonate, some won't. Take what works and leave what doesn't. Nobody's going to know better than you. Don't do something because somebody told you it works for them and because they say they think you should do it, right? Do it because it's going to be the thing that works for you. For some people, walking meditations work, having a bath works, sitting in silence works, listening to music works, right? Like, you need to discern. And again, this is all part of that inner productivity, getting familiar with your internal world and doing what serves you and what works for you. What I'm encouraging you to do here today is to simply just place a little bit more importance on internal productivity than you did yesterday, and notice what shifts. First tip that you can do is starting your day with meditation or silence. Keep your phone on airplane mode. Don't look at your phone right away, and take the first even 5 to 10 minutes to do a meditation, sit in silence, listen to 1 or 2 songs, positive affirmation, focus on your breathing, something that allows you to land in your body before you bombard yourself with all of the notifications. Secondly, I love this one, is keeping a journal or just a note tab on your phone or sticky notes, like whatever it is that can serve as your second brain. I love that. I don't know where that came from. My business partner actually said it to me the other day, and I was like, I love that, my second brain, because how often we keep so much in our mind, and especially, again, knowledge is everywhere. So we're constantly being inspired, downloading all this information. And so it's very important to have a place to put that information so you're not trying to constantly store it and remember it. So have a journal, have a notepad, have a second brain, and use this as a place to jot down your thoughts, emotions, experiences, anything that comes up throughout the day. Maybe you remember something, you don't want to forget to do a task, look into something, you observe something about yourself. Just have something available that you can always just go to and jot it down and just release it. Something else that I personally love and I think is super important is taking tech breaks and having boundaries. We can't always eliminate tech completely from our lives, but we can have boundaries. You can choose how notifications come in. You can choose if your phone is on loud. You can choose if your computer's always running all the time. And so I just encourage you, take breaks, even if it's like a quick step outside, just full of fresh air, rubbing your feet in the grass, whatever it is, and having boundaries around your technology and how you use it. You are in control, okay? You guide the ship. You're in the control of the technology. Don't let it rule you. It's there to actually support you. AI, all the like external technology to help us be more productive is there to support us. So use it to support you, not to overwhelm you. And finally, I'll leave you with this one, is prioritizing tasks that align with your personal values. So a lot of times external productivity, and this isn't all the time, but a lot of times it can be focused on achieving the next thing at work or what you should be doing, maybe like what you want to make your parents happy, society, culture, your friends, like if you're achieving things, doing things based on societal, cultural values, whether in the workplace or at home. Prioritize daily just bringing attention to tasks that actually align with your personal values. Something that brings you joy, something that gives you time to spend with yourself, again, like focusing on that inner productivity, and that can help reduce any feelings of being overwhelmed because you're putting energy into something that truly matters to you, enhancing feeling fulfilled, a sense of purpose, a sense of alignment. And so that way, when you're doing tasks that maybe you don't care as much about, that's going to overflow into those tasks as well. And you're going to feel more alive and energized by them. So listen to your body, work with your natural energy, align with your personal values, and really just give yourself a little bit more space to go inward and focus on that internal productivity. I think I'll leave you with that because I could probably just ramble forever on this topic, but I would love, love, love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Anything else that you want me to dive deeper into, please let me know. And I hope if at the very least this episode has inspired you to shift your perspective on productivity and placing a little bit more importance on the inner productivity and now understanding the difference between the two and what can support you to be both internally and externally productive and how they can work together. All right, that is all for now. I'll see you next time in the Conscious Loop. Like what you heard and want more? Stay connected with our community on social media using the links below. Like us on your favorite podcast provider and sign up for the Conscious Loop newsletter, where we only send you goodies with one intent: to break your unconscious loops. If you have an unconscious loop you want to break free from, Let us know so we can feature that loop on the show. Info and show notes, and we'll see you next time in the Conscious Loop.